Hello, I'm Reverend Rick, and it is my honor to be with you today. We really hope that this video is a blessing to you. And if it is, please consider making a donation. People watch our videos locally when they cannot necessarily come to church throughout the United States and the world. So please join us and click the link below and make a donation. Thank you, and let this be a blessing to you.
Good morning, everyone. And I have the mic, and I'm going to take a little bit of liberty this morning. Because I'm going directly to the spiritual truth after that song. Because the spiritual truth this morning is this: in, through, and with God, all things are possible. And because they're possible, I can do all things. See, those things actually go together. It's just in oneness. Jesus turns water to wine. Most of you have heard the story before. Jesus turns water to wine. But really, is the story just about turning the water to wine? If that is, it only applies when you need some wine and all you got is some water. But now, hey, what a skill, right? Walk in your bathroom, touch the faucet, instead of water, you get wine. Sometimes I wish I had that skill. But I think the story means more than that. So Jesus goes to a wedding with his mother. Do you think Jesus had a difficult time getting a date? He went with his mother, which I think is a beautiful thing. I happened to be sitting at the barbershop a couple of weeks ago, and a young man, Indian, Sikh, came in on the phone, sat down. I was listening to a podcast, reading something, totally tuned out, just waiting for my turn. When he finished his call, he decided that I was supposed to pay him some attention. Ignoring my headphones and the fact that I was pretty much engrossed in what I was reading, he started to talk to me. Now, I've kind of had this thing most of my life that people just kind of talk to me in odd places and just kind of tell me stuff. You know, but they tell me stuff, and a lot of times it's actually really personal. And I wish I could say that I'm irritated by it, but actually I really love it. So Sam is 22 years old. Sam works in automotive repair, and he loves what he does. He lives at home, and he says, I could live there forever, with a smile on his face. I wish I could have, but I couldn't live there forever. And he said, and you know, I trust my parents to find me a wife. He was beautifully traditional. He was happy about it, and I really thought it was a charming thing. And I know how much marriage and weddings mean to people. So Sam, though, I guess was working me a little bit. He had a little bit of a plan on what he was looking to do, and that was, he was in a hurry, and he wanted to get in front of me. But, you know, it's all good, right? I wasn't in a hurry. I could go back to reading what I was reading when he interrupted me, and we let him go forward. 2,000 years ago, weddings were significant, just as they were in this day. Sam was on his way to a family wedding. He was excited about it. He was to the point of being giddy because it was a family wedding. I clearly could not do anything but give him my spot because I was actually excited for him. 2,000 years ago, Jesus goes to a wedding with his mother. And Mary comes to him and says, they're out of wine. Now I wonder, did she just want another drink? Or, nonetheless, they're out of wine. Sister's not coming back. And forgive me, sister, I only have 20 years of Roman Catholic education. So they go to the wedding, and the interesting thing is Jesus is rude to her. Whatever language you read it in, he's rude. Woman, it's not my time. In other words, this ain't none of your business and mine either, okay? But as my mother would have done, she absolutely just ignored him. My mother had a way of ending any conversation by which she was uncomfortable with me, and that was because I am your mother. Which meant the conversation was over, she had turned me off, and that was the end of it. And I learned after a while, I could forget it. The conversation was over. So Mary doesn't say anything. She turns to the servants and she says, just do what he says. So she has decided that he is going to comply. And he does. 3 points. Mothers will be mothers. God's got your back. And when we run out, God steps in. Mothers will be mothers. 2, God's got your back. Why is she concerned? Why? Because a wedding at this time is a really big deal, right? Everyone comes to the wedding. Everyone in the community. And the most humiliating thing in the world to happen would be is that you would run out of something. Now, if I'm ever entertaining, I purposely will run out so that you will go home. But that's just a secret, and I have a tendency to be transparent up here. And so you get the cue if you come to my house, right? So they run out of wine, and Jesus does what he says that he's supposed to do. See, Sam was excited about this experience just like this. It would have been humiliating to run out of anything. The community would go to the wedding, and really it was time that, people may be the only time they get meat or a dessert. And of course, they also got some wine. So this is an important thing. So I believe Mary, being that she's the image of God, is worried about the family being humiliated. So God's got your back. 3, why worry when you run out? God steps in. So this story, I believe, is so much more than about the fact of turning water to wine, right? Because I worry, I worry that I'm going to run out. And sometimes I can only hear God when I have exhausted every other option that's in front of me. I have gone through the list. I have medicated. I have worried. I have lost sleep. I have talked to everyone about it. I've pretty much taken my anger out on everyone around me. And then somehow or another, I am open and my consciousness allows God to come forth. But do we really have to get to that point? Jesus said ever so often, fear not, do not be afraid, fear not, do not worry. But yet I still do it. What about you? Do you still worry? And we know that God is going to show up. But see, I learned something from Sam that day. See, Sam recognized he had a need. 1, 2, he was humble enough to ask for what he needed. And number 3, he was thankful. See, because Sam recognized that he needed something and he just asked me for what he needed. He humbled himself to that point. And I think that this is why we have this issue of waiting until we run out before we listen to God, because we do not want to humble ourselves. I'm going to say the S word, surrender. Okay, we don't want to surrender, but let me tell you, you either voluntarily surrender or you surrender under duress. But you are going to surrender to God. But here's the issue. He's on our side. She's on our side. It's on our side, whatever pronoun you use. God is on our side. Sam recognized his need. He asked for what he needed, and he was thankful because he offered to pay for my haircut because he appreciated what I did. It wasn't necessary, but he offered. What a beautiful thing. So if you come here every week, or this is your first time, if you are worried about anything, I ask you to leave it here this morning. I ask that you accept that God can intervene right now. And instead of you waiting until you absolutely have exhausted every other option that there is, you let God lead and guide you. Now, most people after this would have an altar call, and I'm not going to do that. Although some of you probably should. I know I should. See, because the issue here is this. Now, you know, when I get up here, I tell you the truth. You know what I've been through, right? Because I tell you right here. The reason this message is so front and center for me is I just did it recently. I was worried about something. I had exhausted my ideas about it. And when I just relaxed and let God speak, I already not only had the answer, I already had the resource. I didn't have to ask for anything. But in my stress and in my worry, I wasn't open to the leading of God. So, my request of you this morning, do not leave here in worry. Do not leave here in stress. Do not leave here at the end of your rope to such an extent there is no room by which to tie a knot in it and hang on. Don't wait for that. Surrender now to the voice and the guidance of God, which only desires our good. But nonetheless, if you don't, when you run out, God will step in. And so it is. So this prayer this morning, as I finish, is for all of us. Because as I speak my word right now, I see every need met by this one power and this one presence. Why do I know this is true? Because it's been done so many times for me, and for this I am thankful. So I am thankful in advance that all needs are met for everyone in this room and everyone live in touch. Oh, what a beautiful to trust and release it, let it go, no longer worry about it, love and love. And so it is.